everyone, Chris here, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to this reading vlog for the Cat Lady Readathon. So I believe this round is like 10 days, so it runs from the 17th through the 26th, and there's a bit of a bingo board. I'll pop it up here. I don't know how many of those prompts I'm going to get to, because I have 88 million books I need to read, and not all of them feature cats. I'm going to start by mentioning the books I do have on my TBR, or that I could easily read that feature cats. First up, I have Reading Up a Storm by Eva Gates. This is the third book in the Lighthouse Library Mystery Series. And as you can see, there's a cat on the front. He does feature in the story. He lives with our main character. So there is definitely a cat involved in these books. Then I have the next book in the Claude Evil Alien Warlord Cat series. And obviously, one of our main points of view is Claude, the evil alien warlord cat. So definitely a cat book here. Then I've got Cold-Blooded Myrtle. And Myrtle has a cat named Peony. So there is a cat present in this book as well. This is a middle grade historical fiction mystery series. So I'm quite looking forward to diving back into this. Those are all the ones that were on my TBR. The only other one that I have access to that I'm absolutely 100% going to get to is Katie the Cat Sitter. This is a graphic novel that features Katie, who ends up cat sitting for her neighbor who has 217 cats. So there should be quite a bit of cats in this, and it's a graphic novel, so it should read really quickly. It's a 5-star prediction, and I figured it would be easy enough to squeeze in to my week. So those are going to be my 4 main reads for the Cat Lady Readathon. I'm hoping, TBR depending, that I might be able to get to some Warriors books, because I do still have some of those that I need to get to, but that's all going to depend on the rest of my TBR, because once this readathon is over, I'm only going to have 2 days left in the month. So the other books I'm going to be focusing on for sure this week are The Great Hunt by Robert Jordan. I have very little left in this, so no reason I shouldn't finish that. Dark Days, which is the 4th book, I think, in the Skullduggery Pleasant series, because I'm partway through that. Daughter of the Moon Goddess, because I'm about halfway through that. Read the first half in one sitting, set it down, and then got stuck into Polarathon and just didn't pick it back up. Eva Evergreen in The Cursed Witch, because I'm about a third of the way through that. This was my last book for Polarathon, and is another one I set down and didn't pick back up, and I would like to finish. And then the other 2 big beasts of the week are Speaking Bones, which is the 4th and final book in the Dandelion Dynasty, and The Light of All That Falls by James Islington, which is the 3rd and final book in the Lycanis trilogy. Both of these are bricks. Both of them are about to be overdue to the library, so I kind of need to read both of them before I have to return them, because I don't want to have to wait anymore to read them. Which, unfortunately, is not the last of my TBR. Because in addition to all of that, I also need to, at some point between now and the end of the month, get to A Batter of Life and Death, Little and Lion, Color Me In, Hollywood Homicide, and Before They Hanged. So, yeah, no idea how I'm supposed to read all this in, like, 12 days, but we're gonna give it a go. And see how I can do. Some of these will be extremely easy, quick reads, like basically everything but the adult fantasies. It's really going to be make or break as to whether I can get through these 3. I mean, this one should be the priority because it's on my TBR. And if I don't finish it, then I would have to put a punishment on my Phase 10 board. But these 2 are overdue from the library, and I don't want to rack up a ton of fines either, so I don't know. I suppose we will see what I do, but I'm going to try to squeeze in as many cat books as possible. And like I said, I have a few that are on my TBR anyway, so those should work. And I'm hoping to somehow maybe get some Warriors in there as well. We'll see. But yeah, I'm very excited to be participating in the Cat Lady Readathon, even if I can't just exclusively read cat books this round. But that is my plan for the next 10 days, and I will check back in with you soon when I have some sort of update on having finished something. So it is now Tuesday, and I thought I would check in. I've read quite a bit, so let's dive in. I finished The Great Hunt by Robert Jordan. I'm giving this 3.75 stars. I think I had said that it was feeling that way, and the ending didn't really change my thoughts on it. I did not enjoy this as much as book one, but I'm still invested in the journey, and I'm curious to see where these characters go from here and what is going to happen next. So I'm still invested in the series and the journey our characters are going to be taken. So I look forward to reading the next book in the series, though I'm excited to have a month off. Then I read A Batter of Life and Death. This is the second book in the Bake Shop Mystery series, and I gave this book 3.75 stars. And this one, Jules is going to be part of a baking competition, and one of the celebrity chefs ends up dead, and she kind of ends up getting roped into trying to figure out who and why. So in this series, I do like the mystery part. It is more Jules' personal life that doesn't interest me, which brings the rating down a little bit. So I do plan to continue reading this series because, like I said, I like the mystery aspect. I'm hoping that with a little bit of time, the romance aspect kind of shakes out a bit and becomes more enjoyable, because right now I'm just not into it. This was quite the interesting story because you had these chefs that kind of came in to do this baking competition, and they were all suspicious for different reasons. And it was interesting to see Jules kind of navigate that, especially considering we didn't know much about them. It was also interesting seeing her become part of this competition and really care, because originally she wasn't supposed to be. And I really enjoy the relationship Jules has with her mom and her coworkers at Tort, which is the bakery her and her mom own. And I hope we get to see more of that growth in the coming books as well. So I'm still liking this series, even though it's not necessarily my favorite cozy mystery. But like I said, I think that hopefully down the line, the romance thing will kind of shake out. Then I read Reading Up a Storm, and I gave this book 4.25 stars. This is the third book in the Lighthouse Library mystery series, and this featured our first cat. So in this series, Lucy lives in a lighthouse, and on the bottom floor of the lighthouse is a library. And she's looking out her window one night during a massive storm and sees kind of a shipwreck, calls it in. These two people survive it, but then shortly thereafter, one of them ends up dead. And Lucy kind of gets dragged into it when a friend is accused, and she wants to help clear said friend's name. I really liked the mystery aspect to this, though I did suss the suspect pretty quickly. But I really like Lucy, and I like the kind of supporting cast of characters. I think that the cat, Charles, is very charming. I really, really like him and how he kind of gets involved in certain ways. I liked the way this kind of wrapped up and some of the movement that happened in the other overarching plots of the story. And I just really like Lucy as a protagonist and the way she kind of solves murders and puts the pieces together. So still really enjoying this series. Then I read Claude, Evil Alien Warlord Cat, Target Earth. And I gave this book 4.25 stars. So this is the fourth book in this series. And this follows Claude, who is, as the title says, an evil alien warlord cat. And in the first book, he gets exiled from his planet Litterbox and ends up on Earth, where his human Raj adopts him and names him Claude, even though his real name is Wizkuz. And this one, he decides he's going to take over planet Earth. And hijinks ensue from there. I really, really enjoy Claude. I really, really enjoy his relationship with Raj. I enjoyed how this one kind of played out and the hilarity of what Claude was trying to do and how he went about it. There was an intriguing chapter at the end that made me curious as to where book 5 is going to go, so I'm quite looking forward to that one as well. And it is another cat book. We have a cat POV in this one because it alternates between Raj and Claude. And I really, really love this series, and I would also highly recommend the audiobooks because they're absolutely brilliant. Then I picked up Hollywood Homicide because I got Last Letter, First Letter, which meant I got H, because Target Earth. So I needed to pick up a book that started with H due to Phase 10, and I ended up picking up Hollywood Homicide, and I DNF'd this. I got like 45% of the way through, and I just was not feeling it. In this book, you're following Dana, and she starred in a pretty famous commercial, but that's kind of the only highway she's made as an actress. And she's kind of broke, and she's trying to help her parents save their house after I believe her dad had a stroke. So things have been tight there, and they don't know how much she's struggling. And she sees a billboard that offers, like, how much is it? Does it say? Yeah, 15 grand as a reward for anything that leads to the capture of the murder in this hit and run. And she decides she's going to investigate for the reward. This book also takes place in LA, and I wanted a cozy mystery, and this just did not have cozy mystery vibes. I wasn't particularly into Dana as a character. I didn't find her particularly likable. And by halfway through, I did not care about Dana. I didn't care about most of her friends. I did not care about the murdered girl, and it feels like it's not going to get anything more than 3 stars, and that might be a generous guess. So I figured it made more sense to just DNF it, cut my losses, and move on to something I would enjoy more. So I will say my mom also struggled to get into this one, so I am not surprised I end up DNFing it. Usually cozy mysteries are a hit with my mom. She doesn't enjoy them as much as me, but she very rarely DNFs anything. So when she said I just couldn't get into it, I wasn't sure. And I gave it a shot, but it's just not a book that works for me. Then I read Cold-Blooded Myrtle, and I gave this book 4.25 stars. This is the 3rd book in the Myrtle Hardcastle mystery series, and in this series, we're following a young girl named Myrtle who lives, I want to say, in like the mid to late 1800s, and she solves crimes. And she has an adorable cat named Peony. So I have another little cat companion. And in this one, it is Christmas time. So she and her caretaker, Miss Judson, are headed to view the annual Christmas display at the local mercantile shop. And he is found dead. And the display hints at the disappearance of a girl 20 years ago that involved several prominent figures in town, including Myrtle's late mother, which really draws Myrtle into the murder investigation because she doesn't know why this person was murdered and what this disappearance had to do with her mom. She just knows that her mom was somehow involved, and it really draws her into the story and the mystery because her mom died years ago. And she wants to know more about it. She wants to know more about this time in her mom's life, and it really makes her miss her mom. So I really, really enjoyed the mystery of this. I did, again, figure out who the murderer was, but I enjoyed the ride that we went on to get there. I enjoyed seeing Myrtle kind of puzzle through it and kind of stumble and put pieces together wrong, but be so sure that she was right. And how I think in some ways her mom being involved made her a little more emotionally invested, which sometimes I think clouded her judgment a little bit, which would make total sense if your mom was involved in this disappearance and you're wondering if maybe there was something about your mom that you didn't know and that maybe she wasn't the person you thought she was. It might affect your ability to think level-headedly and clear-headedly. So I thought this was another great addition to the Myrtle Hardcastle series, and I really enjoyed it. And then the last book I finished is The Light of All That Falls by James Islington, and I gave this book 4 stars. So this is the last book in the Lycanis trilogy, and I really enjoyed how this story wrapped up. It was interesting to see what all of our characters kind of went through in this one and how all of the threads of the first 2 books kind of came together, and we finally got to get all of the answers because a lot of this series is posing questions in the first book that by the end of the 3rd book have been answered. I really enjoyed getting to see kind of how that played out and how each of the characters went on a journey because it's told from multiple point of views. And it was so interesting to see how the author kind of brought those threads together. I think I would have enjoyed this maybe slightly more if I had read it closer to when I had read book 2. But I had to wait to get it out of the library, so there isn't much that can be done about that. Though I will say handily in these, there is a bit of a kind of recap at the beginning. So it says, the following is meant only as a quick high-level refresher of the events in the shadow of what was lost and an echo of things to come rather than a thorough synopsis. As such, many important occurrences and characters will be glossed over during this recap, and some, in a few cases, are not mentioned at all. But it at least refreshes your memory a little bit of what was happening to the main characters whose POVs you were going through. before you get into this book. So I really do like that when you have a chunky adult fantasy like this, having something like that. There's also a character list and a glossary in the back, which also helps because it allows you to kind of go, wait, who was that person again? So I think that was handy. But like I said, I think I would have enjoyed this more had I read it closer to when I finished book 2. And then the last update I have is that I've started Speaking Bones. I'm only on page 68, so I have a very, very, very long way to go. But I am very excited to be back with these characters. Though, again, this is another one. I wish I had read it closer to when I read book 3, which was sometime last summer. But book 4 had just come out, and my library did not have a copy, and we did not ask them to order one so that I could read it. So I had to wait for my library to get a copy, or for a certain period of time to pass before I could borrow it from another library, because some books in my library system you can borrow whenever, and then others are only allowed to be borrowed by that specific library. They can't be like an intra-library loan. So I kind of wish I had asked and seen if I could have gotten them to order a copy sooner. But I'm excited to see how this story wraps up, and I'm pretty sure I remember enough of what was going on that, given that this is an 1,000-page book, by the end, I should remember enough details to figure out everything. I will say the interesting part about this is that I have read 3 adult fantasies in the last week. So I read The Great Hunt, The Light of All That Falls, and Speaking Bones. Well, I haven't read all of this, but I've started this. They all have the same voice actor. So I'm listening to the audiobooks, and there's like no distinction between the books. So it's like I switched from The Great Hunt to The Light of All That Falls, and I kept expecting like Rand to show up in The Light of All That Falls, even though he's from The Great Hunt. And now I'm in Speaking Bones, and I'm expecting Davian to show up in Speaking Bones, even though he's from The Light of All That Falls. And I can distinctly remember the first time I kind of put that together, I think was when I started The Shadow of What Was Lost, and I went, this voice sounds familiar. And once I placed it, I kept expecting characters from the Dandelion Dynasty to show up in The Shadow of What Was Lost. So I will say that's very, very interesting that I've now listened to 3 adult fantasy books whose narrator is the same. So it's getting a little confusing. And if this wasn't due back to the library tomorrow, and this hadn't been due back to the library like Friday, I probably would not have read them back to back to back. I would have tried to read something kind of in between that wasn't this. But like I've been consistently reading those, even though I've been reading other stuff as well. So that is quite trippy. So I will be very excited when I finish this slew of books with the same audiobook narrator, because it is massively confusing. And like I said, I have a break before I read book 3 of the Wheel of Time series. So hopefully by then I will have had enough distance from Speaking Bones to not get confused. But like I said, I'm very excited to see how this story wraps up. And things have massively changed since the first book and the characters we were following in that one. So we've been on quite a journey with these characters. So I'm excited to see how the story ends. So yeah, that's everything I've read in the last few days, which is quite a bit. I still have Katie the Cat Sitter that I can read, which is a cat book, and then hopefully I can read at least 1 or 2 Warriors books. We'll see. Because my TBR outside of Speaking Bones is kind of down to this, and then I still have these 2 that I need to finish, and I think that's doable, as crazy as that sounds, because that's still a lot of reading. I think I can do that, because I have an entire week to continue reading, and at the pace I'm going, I should be able to fit all of that in. So I think that's enough for one update, and I'm gonna go read and work my way through my daily page count of Speaking Bones, because I figured out with my adult fantasies how many pages I had to read a day to kind of get through them by the end of the month. So I'm going to go do that. I will check back in with you again soon. Thursday, February 23rd, which means it's my birthday. And I thought I would check in because I have spent most of today reading. And that means I have some books I can talk about. The one book I didn't read today that I finished is The Pale Dreamer, which is book 0.5 in the Bone season. I gave this book 4 stars. It's a really quick, like, novella and kind of, I think, introduces you to some of the main characters, and I don't know much more about it. I'm planning on reading the Bone season in March, and I'm looking forward to it because I enjoyed this little teaser. Also, prior to today, I've made progress in Speaking Bones. I'm on page 270, so some decent progress in this. I'm really, really enjoying this, and I'm very curious to see how this is going to go for like another 700 pages because I have no idea where the story is going to go. As for books I've finished, I finally finished Eva Evergreen and the Cursed Witch. I had picked this up for Readathon, and I'm giving this 4.5 stars. This is the sequel to Eva Evergreen, Semi-Magical Witch. I really enjoyed this follow-up. I liked seeing Eva's growth throughout the story. I liked going on this journey with her, getting to learn more about magic in Eva's world, and yeah, it was just nice to spend some more time with Eva and get to enjoy her story. This is a series I really, really like, and will definitely read any other books that come out in this series. Another book I finished today is Dark Days by Derek Landy. I'm giving this book 4 stars. In this series, we're following a skeleton named Skullduggery Pleasant and his teenage sidekick, Valkyrie Kane. Val is such an interesting character. She's kind of the main character, and they're basically part of this unit that deals with, like, magical crime. And we've basically been following their journey, and this one starts off by wrapping up the cliffhanger that happened in the book before and then kind of expanding on some things that are going on in the current day. I really enjoy this series. It's not like a brand new favorite or anything because I think they've mostly been 4 stars, but I do enjoy it. The audiobooks are fantastic, and there was quite the reveal at the end of this one that makes me very curious as to where the story is going to go. And the other book I've managed to read today is Katie the Cat Sitter. So this is a 5-star prediction, so you'll have to wait for my 5-star prediction wrap-up vlog to see what I thought of this, but it is all about cats, where it's a graphic novel, so I'm looking, there is a picture of all of the kitties. Look at the kitties! They're everywhere! So in this book, basically, Katie is looking after 217 cats. So I definitely think that counts for the Cat Lady Readathon, which is something I'm still partaking in. I'm hoping to maybe squeeze in a Warriors book, but that's going to depend on if I can get to everything else that I need to read for my TBR. What I have left is the rest of Speaking Bones, Little and Lion, Color Me In, Before They Were Hanged, and then ideally I would like to finish Daughter of the Moon Goddess, and I want to read A Psalm for the Wild Belt. This might be what I pick up next, actually. I'm hoping to get through that and maybe finish up Daughter of the Moon Goddess before I go to bed tonight. But the other update I have is that somebody, or multiple somebodies, got me some stuff off my wish list. So this is the only thing I can imagine that I would have gotten from Amazon. And I got these, like, weeks ago. And they've basically been sitting here because I knew I wasn't going to be getting anything to open on my birthday. So I figured I'd open it up with you all. I basically got myself some books for my birthday. My mom just told me to pick some stuff out. So that was kind of my birthday present there. But I knew I wasn't going to have anything else to open. So when I got these, I was like, oh, we'll open those on my birthday. So I have no idea who these are from. I have never had anybody buy me anything off my wish list that wasn't for, like, a giveaway. So this is kind of crazy. Holy crap. I have The Name of the Wind. I love this book. Oh, that's going to be exciting. I've been wanting to reread it, even though I have no idea when book 3 is coming out. Let's see. Happy birthday month. Enjoy one of my favorite books of all time and one of my favorite books last year, from Erin. Well, thank you, Erin. I'm going to be very, very excited to have this when I do a reread, because there's no way I will be able to read book 3 without rereading book 1. I've been really wanting to reread this too, and now I feel like you've given me the perfect reason to reread this, even though, like I said, I have no idea when book 3 is coming out. But thank you so much. I'm gonna put the gift note in here so that I will know that you got this for me. Then the second package is Legends and Lattes, which was one of my favorite books I read last year. Oh, that's so exciting. This was one I almost got for myself, so I'm really glad that I didn't. And this is Enjoy Your Gift from Erin. So this is also from Erin. Erin, thank you so much. You really, really didn't have to, but this made my birthday very, very special. And I am so excited to have a physical copy of this. This is another book I want to reread. And now I can. Oh, this is amazing. Thank you so much, Erin, for both of these. And know that they will definitely, absolutely get reread. Probably multiple times if I know me, especially this one. So thank you so much. So I think that's it for my check-in. I'm in awe that somebody decided to get me something for my birthday. That is incredibly amazing. And yeah, I'm very excited to have both of these. So, yeah, that's all of my reading update, all of my birthday update, and I'm gonna go read, and then in a little while, instead of cake, because I don't like cake, I am going to be having an ice cream sandwich. I'll pop a picture in here because these guys are huge, and I'm very, very excited about my birthday treat. But yeah, I'm gonna go read, and I will check back in with you all later. So it is Monday, which means it is time to wrap up this vlog that features the Cat Lady Readathon. So I read all of the cat books on my TBR, and I actually managed to squeeze a bonus one in there that I didn't notice until I was looking at the bingo board, just out of curiosity because I wasn't really following it. But I finished Little and Lion, and one of the prompts on the bingo board was to read a book with a cat in the title, and a lion is a cat. So even though the character isn't a cat and there are no cats in the book, technically there is a cat on the cover. So I'm giving this book 3.75 stars. In this book, we follow Suzette, who has come home after a year at boarding school. And the reason she went to boarding school is because before she left, her brother, Lionel, was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and her parents were trying to help her and her brother adjust, and felt that they really wanted Suzette to focus on herself and not so much worrying about her brother's mental health. And it meant that they could really focus on Lionel and getting his mental health under control. So this obviously has bipolar rep in it. We have POC rep in Suzette. Suzette has converted to Judaism. So we have Jewish rep in there as well, because Lionel is her stepbrother, and Lionel and his father are Jewish. So she and her mom have converted. So we have Jewish rep in there as well. And Suzette is bisexual. So we have bi rep in here on top of it. So there's a lot of different rep in this book. And I really liked that, but I didn't really connect with Suzette. And the way the story was written, I wasn't a huge fan of things. I definitely liked getting to see all of the different rep, but there was definitely a storyline in there that I was not a huge fan of, which brought my rating down. And I think if they had tweaked that story, I would have enjoyed this more, and it would have gotten in the 4-star range. But that one storyline that involves Suzette, Lionel, and another character, I didn't like that at all. So that brought down my enjoyment, but there is a lot of really good rep in here, and it was interesting to see how Lionel's mental illness affected his family and affected him, and really see the toll that it took on Suzette. And I really enjoyed seeing the bond between Little and Lion, because Little is what Lionel calls Suzette, and obviously Lion is what Suzette calls Lionel. So I enjoyed seeing their bond play out, but yeah, there was just one storyline that really, really dragged this book down for me. So I think 3.75 stars is a fair rating. Basically, the rest of my time outside of reading that since I last spoke to you, I've been reading Speaking Bones. I'm on page 628, so I've read, I think, like 400 pages since I last talked to you, which does not seem like a lot, but I've actually switched my sleeping schedule around, so I'm going to bed before midnight, and I'm getting up during the daytime. So I kind of did that since I last talked to you, because I think I said I was hoping to get to 2 books before I went to bed on my birthday, and then I just crashed. So I've got myself switched around finally. So I haven't made as much progress on this as I wanted to, and I'm getting a bit burnt out on adult fantasies, so I think that's why I read it a little slower, but I am still enjoying this, and I'm very, very curious to see how we're finally going to get to the end of this tale in the last 400 pages of the book. And then the other thing I have to mention is that I've started Color Me In. I'm 70 pages in, and we're following Nevaeh, who is Black and Jewish, so more Black Jewish rep, and her parents are in the middle of a divorce, and she is kind of struggling. So I don't really have an opinion on this. I'm not far enough into it to have an opinion yet, but I'm looking forward to continuing to read Nevaeh's story and seeing how she navigates this divorce. So that's it for this vlog. I think I had a pretty decent reading I was going to say week, but it was like 10 days. So I think I managed to read quite a bit in 10 days, because I think I read the end of The Great Hunt, all of the Light That Falls. I think that's what it's called. And then a good chunk of Speaking Bones, while also sneaking in all of the cat books I wanted to read. So that was very exciting. I love the Cat Lady Readathon, and I'm a little bummed I didn't get any Warriors on there, but what can you do? I had in a hefty TBR, so the fact that I managed to get any cat books in is a win for me. So yeah, that's all for this vlog. All of my social media is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me cat emojis. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!